know that you did an incredible TikTok video about wellness and burnout, and especially with physicians. So what's your hot take on Professional Wellness Month being the month of June?
Yeah, I think, doctors, nurses, healthcare providers are people. There's depression, anxiety, substance abuse, all those things affect us just as much as they affect everybody else. But there's a big stigma. And when you're like a doctor or someone who's like, because it's so lame, but like sort of like a prominent figure in society, there's a big stigma to you having problems that, normal people have. Well, guess what? We're normal people. And, these things affect everybody. And, I think the more people, and there's a few folks that are out there that are very, very vocal about it, which I think is great, because I think that really just takes the stigma out of folks saying, hey, you know what? I need to talk to someone, or I need to get some help, because I just feel like my mind isn't right now.
I wanted to not feel the pain that I was dealing with. It was easier for me to take a drink or a drug and temporarily forget about what I went through. And so in writing those scenes, I didn't know how honest I should have been, right? So at first I was not honest at all. I kept it very surface level. I barely described what happened. And then as time went on, I was like, you know what? I think I need to get just a little bit more vulnerable. And the rawness just kind of came out. I didn't plan for it. I just wrote it. I wrote it as I felt it and as it happened. And I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did. I've had numerous people, males, reach out to me who knew about my story, and they said that they went through something similar, or that hearing me get that off my chest and being so honest about it and not caring what other people thought helped them to get through similar or even different types of traumas, and so that's the reason why I did it. That's the reason why I wrote this book to begin with.
So I've been in the travel industry a long time, and after spending many years, I decided I wanted to go back and I wanted to open my own company. And I was very interested in health and wellness for me personally as well. And I realized, mentally and physically, there's so much that happens when you incorporate the wellness into your lifestyle. So anyway, and of course, I wanted to get back in the travel space. And I happened to be booking a trip for some friends and us to go overseas, and went online, and I was looking for a really nice place that we could kind of spend a few days, down days that had some, activities, a spa, health, different things, nature. I'm a big lover of being in the outdoors and forest bathing. And I went online and I just couldn't really find anything. So I decided I wanted to start my own travel company.
Yeah, I don't know if everybody who's in therapy agrees with me, but I thought the counselors that I've had, therapists that I've had that understand addiction firsthand, that have been through it, even if it's just like their child or their parent, or seen it firsthand, lived it, as opposed to read about it in a book. I do think that there's a difference, and I don't mean offense to any other therapist who hasn't been through it. I'm sure you can be great at your job without doing that, but I think my firsthand experience of being able to not only empathize, but completely relate to whatever the person that I'm talking to, whatever they've been through, I've been through it too. So,
and you can call bullshit.
Yes.
Because you've had your own bullshit.
I was full of bullshit for years. Yes. Yeah. I try not to lie at all anymore. I think I do a good job of that. But I was full of bullshit for quite a few years.
Yeah.
What do you do when because it's the thought, what has been your practice, and what do you share with your clients when that comes along?
Well, first off, let's sort of go back a bit. What I teach my clients is they do 24-hour planning. So they can do it the night before in the morning. They plan out what they're going to eat for the day. And it's not a should eat. Like, it's a realistic. If they're eating burgers and fries for breakfast, lunch, and supper in the beginning, they put that on there. Right. And like for me, like you talk about ice cream. Ice cream was my go-to. Like, I would eat out the bucket when I first started. So I would put on bucket of ice cream, and then I allow it, because when you allow yourself to have it, then you actually learn that, do I really like this? Do I really want this? And so I would go from the bucket to then a smaller bowl, then a smaller bowl. And now years later, I don't even really want it anymore. So that's the first step, is first allowing yourself to have it, but you have to plan it on there.
Now, I don't know who better to have with me as we honor World Mental Health Day Then Dr. Mark Sylvester, psychiatrist, alternative psychiatrist, engineer to the stars, functional medicine extraordinaire in Bradenton, Florida. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for not requiring a face mask or pants for this interview.
Right.
Healthy defense mechanism is to make as much humorous jokes as I could possibly come out of a very dark, painful situation. Well, we've been watching the body counts on TV and who's infected where and how this country's doing and the politics and the vaccines and the mandates and the social isolation and the distancing. No one has really started focusing on the mental health sequela of all of us.
It's so worth it because now you probably have a great appreciation for the growth. You have gratitude because you didn't start with the bougie.
Yeah. It's funny because, like whenever we bring in some people, I always tell them, I say, like, you have to remember that the fact that we have multiple phone lines is like a big deal to me still. Like I know all the computers that we have here and it looks like we've got all this tech and we've got all these lasers, but like, I know how big a decision it was for me to decide we're doing 2 networks in our office. You know what I mean? Like all these little things that you just assume are there. Yeah. When you're building your own shop, you remember where each, steel girder is placed. And I think, so it's been satisfying. It's satisfying to see it grow, but I think there are definitely points where the growing pains happen, like in any business. And that's the business of medicine part of it that I think people don't always realize.
When you think about Professional Wellness Month and employee wellness and mental health, what does that mean to your company and to the clients that you service?
Yeah, it's very important for companies to look at their employer, their population as a whole, just as they would their family. A big thing with BeniComp is we look at all of the underlying blood data, and we get 96% participation in these annual health screenings. And we look at all the claims data and say, what's going on with this population? So what we'll do is we'll take all of the data, and then we'll sit down with the HR departments and say, hey, let's take a look at where we are. What we would do then is we sit down, we look at all of the data and say, okay, with this group, we see a lot of smoking issues or substance abuse issues or mental health issues. Let's take the time to communicate with the employees, educate them, create programs that are very specific to this population, and see if we can make a difference going into the end of the year.
So let's tell the audience, because I already know what it is, but what is this retreat?
Okay, so first of all, I believe I'm passionate about this. Self-care, self-love, self-awareness are not selfish. That is essential. So many women, all of their energy goes out taking care of everyone else, that they have very little left for them. And so this retreat is an opportunity for women to retreat, which means to step back, to recharge, to relax, to be cared for. So everyone gets the same treatments at this retreat. So that would be hypnosis, and it would be a facial, massage, and the opportunity for 3 yoga classes. So they'll choose one of those services, completely catered to what their needs are.
You must know a few things before we get started, everybody. So David Houle, who is here today, is a futurist thinker and speaker. Over 20 years in media, created and launched MTV, Nickelodeon, VH1, CNN headline news. There's not many people that I know that have spoken at NASA. David, have you spoken there?
Yes, I've spoken at NASA. I've spoken at National Renewable Energy Lab. I've spoken a number of times at Burning Man. So I've covered the spectrum.
I have all of his books. They're everywhere. You're welcome. So David has launched a global nonprofit called This Spaceship Earth. Now, there is the Sarasota Institute, which I have my program because, as David said, when I first went and joined as a member, he said, you'll be one of the first. And I never forgot that.
Because Sarasota has so many great people. And Sarasota, based on its population, disproportionately has really interesting people. Presidents from Harvard, Jim Duffy, the greatest president of ABC Network, is here. So, as a futurist, we ended up creating a 21st century think tank. And pretty much it wasn't until, when you signed up back in January of 2020, we launched the Institute. up in State College of Florida in about an 800-seat auditorium. And we had two symposiums, and then we had to shut down for COVID. So the Institute basically has decided on 10 topics, and they're on our website, from climate to healthcare, to education, to technology, to natural resources, to intelligence, to computing. We're totally future facing. So we are a 21st century think tank. I really think of COVID is the kind of wake up call for how we will need to be adaptive and resilient for the rest of the decade.
Why don't you let everybody know why you are in the know and how you are in the know?
Yeah, so some of my largest clients are in the senior living industry, and I'm an outside general counsel for healthcare and tech companies. So, of course, during the midst of this pandemic, I've been on speed dial for my clients because I do everything from liability, risk management, infection control, kind of the boots on the ground stuff, to employment issues, HR, leave, vaccine mandates. I've been really kind of jack of all trades in supporting my clients through this pandemic. I've worked directly with the CDC on things like mass testing and infection control. We did determine that one of my clients had fake masks or masks that had not been properly manufactured. So the CDC was very helpful in doing some testing with us, working directly with local and state epidemiologists and departments of health, really the folks that are, in all humility, the ones that are boots on the ground and fighting on the front lines, and then me helping to implement or advise my clients based on these tough lessons learned.
So don't forget, if you mention that you've seen the show or listened to it on the podcast, mention Thai Technology and you will get 3 months for free.